Hey everybody, welcome to TVRealm podcast, episode 6. I'm your host, Sarah Stockdale, and with me is special guest, Christine Condon.
Hi guys, I'm feeling special now.
Okay, well, as you can tell from me taking the host spot, Max can't be here today. He has some issues with stuff. Anyways, we're gonna start our review of episode 3 of Survivor South Pacific. Okay, Christine. So what were your overall thoughts of the episode?
Well, I thought it was crazy how Brandon acted the whole episode. Basically, he was totally conflicted, freaking out the whole portion of the episode. He was just not in the right element at all. He was totally conflicted with good and evil, as he said in his own words. And I was glad to see Semhar leave. I never really liked her from the start. So, yeah, I'm rooting for Christine, actually, in this Redemption Island stuff we got going on.
Yeah, and for future reference, so that we don't confuse the audience, we're going to refer to Christine as Survivor Christine, so all the audience doesn't get screwed up.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to be in Survivor.
Yeah, it would be tough.
I would suck at it.
Yeah, and you mentioned Semhar leaving, but at the duel, she gave kind of like a poetry thing. What did you think of that?
I thought it was kind of, like, psycho. I mean, she's kind of obsessed with her poetry, and, like, that consoles her or something. Not really sure how, but she lost anyway, so it didn't work.
Yeah, I think I have a clip of that, so that the audience can really hear it. Okay, here it goes.
There isn't anything that I wouldn't do for this man. I would even take off my clothes and give him a private show to the tunes of his soul, because he's all that I need and more. I would give birth to 10 of his children without using any drugs to help ease the pain, and then I would give him one more just because our love is that insane. There is not one thing that I would not do for my lover, my best friend, my honey, my boo. I can't wait to meet him. All right, I'm good.
Is that a little spoken word? Does that calm you?
Like crazy.
And that's really all.
She's basically saying she's going to have 11 children for this man that no one else knows about.
Pretty much.
It's kind of weird. If you ask me, that's a little bit odd.
Yeah, and what did you think of the duel?
It was definitely a duel that I would not be very good at, but it was very challenging because you had to balance this little thing on top of like 4-foot poles. So originally I thought Semhar was going to win because she just seems like the kind of person that would be good at that type of thing, but apparently I was proven wrong.
Yeah, she really was wobbling at one point and then just lost it.
Yeah, Christine does not seem like the kind of person that could pull that off, but yeah, she pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah, and speaking of Survivor Christine, she used the phrase pull a mat when she was doing her interview. Do you think that that she can actually pull a mat, or do you think it's just a one-time thing and then she'll be out?
I do not think she's going to last as long as Matt did last season. I think she's just going to be able to maybe stay for a few duels. I think she'll be able to beat out Papa Bear, who did get voted out last episode, but I really don't think it's going to be a long-time thing.
Okay, and then moving on from Redemption Island, you talked about Brandon being all conflicted, but what were your thoughts of him telling the rest of the tribe, other than Coach, about his secret, being Russell Hance's nephew?
I thought that it was a terrible move because he does not know any of these people yet. They barely even know him. And by disclosing his real identity, they're getting bad vibes off of him in the beginning of the game. And that'll probably make them want to vote him off in the beginning because you already, screwed up by having Michaela be on his case for him wanting to vote her out and telling everyone that at tribal council. So now the tribe's view of him is overall pretty bad.
Yeah, and what I thought was hilarious was as soon as Brandon said that, Stacy went over and she was looking like she was swatting a fly almost. It was psychotic.
Yeah, I No, I'm pretty sure that when he gets voted out, because I do not really think that he's going to last very long, she's going to be the number one person that's suggesting that.
Yeah, because her head's on the chopping block.
Definitely.
Okay, and still on the topic of Brandon, what do you think his position is other than being possibly the next vote out for that? Saying that he has an alliance with the coach and everything.
Well, they only have a two-person alliance, so those kind of alliances especially don't last long, especially after the merge. So even if they make it that far, because I don't think Brandon's head is on the chopping block, because at this point in the game, they're basically worried about how your physical strength in challenges. But if they make it to the merge, once that happens, they're done for.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that with Brandon in his position, he starts fighting with Michaela too about their issues, and I mean that's just, in my opinion, not what you do.
He is constantly rambling about how honest he has to be all the time, and that's really coming to bite him in the butt. You just cannot be honest in the game Survivor 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. And wow, we're moving right along. But moving on to the Savai tribe, what did you think of Ozzy telling Keith about the idol?
Well, I think at this point he needs an ally that can help him to make decisions with the idol and that can know about the idol. But I don't think Keith was necessarily the best choice, because right after that he goes and tells who was it?
Whitney.
That Ozzy has the idol, and they were both pretty upset about this. So I'm not sure they're the right people to trust.
So do you think it was a mistake or a strategic position?
Well, I think it's a mistake, because now other people know about it, and they can use it against him if they were want to see him leave.
Yeah. And then, what were your thoughts of the challenge? Because I thought it was a little bit different.
Yeah, it's not much of like what I've seen before. Most challenges, they have very few during the season that involve getting in the water, swimming, and stuff like that. But this was especially odd because you don't really do much swimming. You basically run up this thin obstacle course, almost in a wipeout kind of way, and then you grab a bag and jump on a board. The hardest part was not grabbing the board and being in the water like it usually is. It was the people turning the crank to get the people back to the beach.
Yeah, and as we said in our last episode, which I don't know if you've heard yet, but there haven't been many water challenges, I don't think any, since season 19.
Yeah, they aren't very common. Usually they're doing stuff in the sand with obstacle courses, digging. But as you notice, of course, there's always a puzzle at the end, which was normal. But it was weird. The puzzle wasn't really the toughest part. The toughest part was the grappling hook.
Yeah. Which, in the end, lost it for Savai.
Definitely. I had no idea a coach was so skilled with a grappling hook.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought that from seeing him in past seasons.
Unless, if anyone remembers, years and years ago, when he was on for, the first time? Yeah. He was talking about how he was captured by indigenous people in the rainforest. Now, I'm not really sure that's true. I remember at the end of the season, after the finale, he took a lie detector test, and it was proved true, but I still don't believe it. Maybe he, I don't know, maybe he learned something from that. I have no idea.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. I haven't seen all of the seasons of Survivor yet. I'm hoping to, for those who haven't heard that in past episodes. But, yeah. And, after the challenge, they moved back to Savai, and it was basically between Papa Bear and Cochran. So what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I am a absolutely huge fan of Cochran. He's hilarious, and he just comes right out and says whatever he feels like saying. He's hilarious, and he's a huge fan of Survivor, so I was definitely rooting for him to stay in the game, and Papa Bear was a wise choice to vote out because he's a weak link.
Yeah, and Papa Bear went and attempted, I should say, to find the idol. Do you think if he had more time, he could have found it, or do you think it was just a lost cause for him?
It was definitely a lost cause. If you remember back when Russell was in his first time around, he was the kind of guy that could go searching for a media idol and find it within 5 minutes. Pop Bear, on the other hand, is not that type of guy. And faking the idol just did him in, basically. Because nobody believed him.
Yeah. And he even tried to, I think, hide it in his pants pocket or just in his pants. And, I mean, everyone just knew it was just like, yeah, no.
For about a minute, they were considering voting off Cochran instead, but then Cochran comes up and says, you know, guys, he's faking. Why would he just... I mean, he walked around, and you could tell that he was too happy. A person that actually found the idol would not just exhibit it to the whole tribe. They would want to hide it.
Yeah, like Ozzy.
Yeah. I thought it was great, the way that they chose him for the season and then put the idol in a place where only he can get it.
Yeah, I thought that was a little unfair, but it still made it kind of like, will Ozzy lose with the idol again?
Yeah, good point. I mean, I really think that... Yeah, you're right, it is unfair, because they know that he's the only one that's going to go looking for it, because he wants to use it again and see if he can do better. And he's the only one that'll go and climb a tree to find it.
Yeah. And, I was watching the previews for next week's Survivor, which comes on after the credit roll, and it was talking about Cochran, who you've already said you're a big fan of, becoming the mastermind of the tribe. Do you think that he's capable of that? And if so, how much trouble do you think he'll stir up?
I really think, even though he's a smart guy, as he showed in past episodes, he's really not the survival kind of guy. Just the last episode, he was learning how to cut open a coconut, and he was quite proud of himself for doing so. I don't think... I mean, he's kind of the underdog at this point. He doesn't really have much of an alliance. He knows he's next on the chopping block, so maybe he would be making that type of risk, but I don't think he'll have much control over the rest of his tribe, especially with the big Aussie alliance of 5.
Yeah, but I mean, in the previews, it looked like Jim was cracking, almost liking Cochran after this episode when almost everyone voted Papa Bear. He voted Cochran.
Yeah, that definitely remains to be seen. At this point, I think people's views of Cochran are not all that high, but maybe he does something in the next episode that will change that.
Yep. Well, that's all my thoughts on Survivor. Do you have anything else to add?
Okay, so how do you think that Papa Bear is going to do against Christine in Redemption Island Duel?
I think that Christine will win because Papa Bear isn't fit. I know Max, he's referred to him as like a medical evac, and I didn't
Yeah.
see that happening, but I mean, he is not in shape in the least bit, so I think Survivor Christine will definitely get it.
Yes, yeah, I know. I know I won the duel, Sarah. I'm aware. But, yeah, this basically happens. I don't understand why people that are, like 60 would want to go and audition for Survivor. They know they're going to be voted out right away. History of Survivor has shown this time and time again. And they're not fit enough for this. They know it. And they want to, I don't know what's in their mind. And I don't see how he's going to beat Christine in any way.
I don't 100% agree with your statement that the people over 60 can't do well, because so far Rick, who is I think like in his 60s or something, he was a hero at the challenge where they had to cut rope, and then past survivors have done well. Second season, Tina, who I don't think was 60, but in her mid 50s, I'm pretty sure, won the whole season. So
yeah, I know. I'm just saying that at some point, I mean, some of these people that are, 60, 70, are really fit. But Papa Bear, he's not.
yeah, I agree with the Papa Bear. I just didn't agree with the whole statement altogether.
Okay, I guess I was making a generalization there.
Yep. So anything else to add?
How do you think that Ozzy will do with the idol?